I know I had a bit about abortion in the special, but I'm even thinking about like abortion right now, which is a very divisive topic, right? I don't know how you feel about it, but I've been like really thinking, I'm like, what is like the truth on how people feel about abortion? And I think I've gotten to it, which is, okay, everybody has a number of abortions where if you go past that, it's too many. So it's not really, even if you're liberal, it's not really your body, your choice. It's like your body, your choice up to like 3. And then all of a sudden people are like, what's going on over here? You know, 9 is a softball team. Like that's a lot, right? Like that. Usually people, even the most liberal person will be like, all right, we'll teach her how to put on a condom or something. Like what the fuck is going on over here? And then the most conservative person, their number is 1. They're like, 1 is too many. But we all agree that there's a spectrum of when it's too much. And I think...
No, like, not really. I don't agree. I think if you have 1 abortion, you can have 10 or 11. At the same time, it doesn't make one abortion better than the other or less bad or whatever.
For me, that's where a joke begins, right? I go, ooh, okay, there's a whole group of people...
Like if you had... Okay, how many abortions would be too much for me, personally? Like, if a chick that I really loved and supported told me she had 12 abortions, to me, that's like insurance. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's like, hey, I might... you might be the one, but... Of course, though... It's a test of loyalty, and and in a way, no one's really in the lead here because I'm the most right now, man. Look, I'm 25 years old, so don't fucking judge me in 10 years. But right now, I'm the most disloyal motherfucker you've ever met, for real. Like, I will fuck a bitch today and then like fuck her friend tomorrow. Like that's who I am. That's what I've done. It's just not.
I think it was like Oscar Wilde said, if you want to tell someone the truth, make them laugh. If not, they'll kill you. And I don't think all comedy has to be truthful and all that kind of stuff. I think comedy speaks to feeling.
This guy is like a fucking Shakespearean villain. Like, what is he doing? What is this Jew trying to say?
It doesn't speak to what is right or wrong. It speaks to genuinely how you feel.
I know what he is. He's a people pleaser. With a lot of money, probably. But, how do you think he got that?
That's where a lot of times comedians get in trouble when they start going, I'm speaking truth to power. I'm telling you what's right or wrong. And it's like, buddy, don't put the cape on.
Yeah.
Just, if you tell people you're just out here telling jokes, you're just having fun, now you're not going to be positioned with the responsibility to tell the truth every time. I want to tell fucked up jokes. I want to say messed up things. And in order for me to do that and have the freedom to create in that space, I can't be Superman. You know what I mean? I can't say that I'm the arbiter of truth. I'm going to get it right every single time. What I'm going to do every single time is make you laugh.
I think also that actually...
There's a lot of truth to that, because a lot of these leftist comics, especially starting out, especially white people, by the way, and a lot of this is due to feminism as well. But there's this pressure to be liked more than telling the truth. But I would actually argue that telling the truth is the point, and the truth itself is funny. You have to find the humor in that. Of course, funny comes first, even if it's bullshit. If you're funny, you're always going to succeed over the truth teller. But the ultimate goal of comedy is still the truth.
And so when you see a Hollywood actor go on a political rampage, you think, well, you were already doing a lot of good for the world with your creative actions. And now you're a second-rate politician, even though you were a first-rate actor or comedian or musician. And, I've gone to a lot of artistic shows in recent years and had them polluted by political discussion.
I can't even argue with this. It's one of those stay-in-your-lane arguments that makes total sense, albeit in a more Peterson-esque way of putting it. My huge problem at my age is staying in my lane because I find the similarities between music and comedy and filmmaking and all these passions that I have. I find them to be so similar that I can't help but, put my own spin on it. And I know that's very rare. It's a very rare gift, and I'm like exceedingly blessed. But there is a danger involved in pursuing all of that at once. And it takes proper planning. It takes huge planning. And so that's what I'm committed to now as an artist.
And you get pulled into the performance, and then halfway through, there's something politically correct often, because that's generally the case now. And you think, oh my God, I got suckered here. I was coming to hear someone great do something great. Now I have to listen to the same half-wit political opinion that I could have not paid for and listened to any undergraduate spout. It's like, well, thanks a lot for that. You think Black Lives Matter. Well, that doesn't make you special.
Yeah.
Anyone who's not an outright bloody Nazi thinks that. And so it's just not elevating. And it's a very sad thing to see.
It's always white folks too. It's always whitey who puts the Black Lives Matter sign up, almost as if they're saying, don't attack me in the event of a class war. Just know that I'm the good guy. But no, you're not the good guy.
See that creative artists are buying the idea, part of this rat's nest of ideas we were talking about earlier, that politics is somehow morally superior, political opinions are somehow morally superior to creative endeavor. That's definitely the case on the comedy front.
Yeah, I wonder if it...
No, it's not the case in the comedy front. It is the case in the media front. There's a huge difference between media and comedy. The comedians who get pushed by the media, as a matter of fact, comedian, it has the word media in it. So, like the word comedian, it's like co-pilot, median. Median, what is a median? A median is it helps settle an argument. That's what comedians are actually there to do. They're there to settle an argument between the upper class and the lower class. And the media, of course, is in that word altogether. It's right in the middle. In the middle of con, I guess you could draw meaning from that. But anyway, the media itself, it's in the word, and therefore, but not every comedian gets pushed by the media, obviously. But what the media wants is, is an agenda of ascendancy, an agenda of peace. Overall, I would argue, it's been overtaken by government. Government is the enemy here, not the media. The media is the free press, and the free press is the First Amendment. But the government is the biggest enemy of all mankind. And so when you extract them from the equation, what you have is just, we don't have these conversations about who can say what, who's allowed to say what. And this is where I think Jordan Peterson is ultimately playing into their hands and being kind of a cuck with his constant moral framing of everything. Like, you're allowed to have your morals, absolutely, but it's just, it doesn't mean anything. And that's what I'm getting at.
I have an abortion bit in the special. To this day, nobody knows which side I am on the abortion issue, right? And both sides think that joke represents them. That's designed on...
If you've ever said the sentence, I think, a woman's body is her property, or something along the lines of, it is your choice, I'm not going to blah, 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 then that the side is... The sides are very simple. The side is, should the government intervene in this matter, or should they not? And if you believe in the government, well, that might be a challenging query for you. But if you understand that the government is tyranny and has no place in your life, then you will respect the equal right of your neighbor. It's no more complicated than that. This does not speak to the moral objectivity or anything like that. It's just simply, is this a matter for the state or not? And, I say no. I think most of us say no. But not the extremists who have hijacked this country.
And one of the self-esteem movement in the school system in California was absolutely dreadfully devastating and appalling. It basically posited that you could teach kids how to be narcissistic to overcome their negative emotion and neuroticism. And that's so preposterously appalling that you couldn't invent something stupider. So we were talking about self-esteem, whatever the hell that means, because it's a very badly defined term. But
yeah, I mean, I think the answer to this was not to indulge in some liberal fantasy of what you wished you had as a child. I think the answer was to just expose these kids to knowledge and just sheer knowledge and everything that there is in the world and and not try to inflict ideas upon them, right? Other than basic civility and hygiene and shit like that, everything else, it's literally your choice. And once they're given that choice, which isn't an illusion, we're given the illusion of choice, but actual choice, having like unlimited ideas to choose from, that is actual choice. And that's what prevents a society from going off the rails.
because your brain is indicating to you that you're well situated in a social community and you're secure with opportunity. And so your self-esteem that's exactly how it works. It's a very, so what happens to people who get depressed, technically depressed, is that that counter goes astray and they start thinking less of themselves than their situation would indicate.
Yeah.
And so then everything around them falls apart. They feel that their past was a catastrophe. They feel that their present is hopeless and that the future isn't going anywhere. But it's because this really, really low-level counter that utilizes serotonin has gone astray. And sometimes antidepressants can help deal.
Well, let's think about this. If you're like Trump, in a world of pedophiles, where do you rank? You know, if that's your social circle, which it was a lot of that, where do you rank? I guess maybe if you're not a pedophile, you might rank very highly. If you aren't a pedophile, if you are a pedophile, you may rank among them, in which case you may feel a suspicious need to rise above them and attain a rank higher than money and more in the reign of power. I don't know. Just a theory.
Deal with that. Now that isn't someone who has a terrible life. That's someone who has a good life, but...
Here's the problem with JP, all right? Like, I think JP is a good guy. He's not going to, be a danger to me anytime soon. Obviously. I mean, dude, fucking a 5-year-old kid could beat up Jordan Peterson. I'm sorry. He's just a fucking nerd. But I will say, the problem is, dude, there's a difference between having expertise and exhibiting that expertise in a series of facts and studies. I'm all for that, 100%, as it applies to certain situations, as studied by you or whoever. I'm not one of these faggots who just cite source, but you should cite facts and information based on sources, carefully cited sources, according to your own standards. But what Jordan Peterson is saying, a lot of it is just theory. A lot of it is just theory. Especially when he goes on the Daily Wire and just pontificates.
Something's gone wrong with them psychophysiologically often, so the counter is out of whack. In any case, you should have about as much self-esteem as other people.
And also, he's a fucking therapist. So a lot of this shit, this is a very new science, by the way, and it's literally it's not a working class luxury like television or booze or sex or anything else. This is a strictly high upper middle class luxury. That's what therapy is. So that's why I just automatically, I have a gut, like, this guy doesn't get it. No matter how big the pile of wood is behind him. I'm sorry, man. It's just like, you're just talking out of your ass. And I don't hate, and I don't hate people who are rich or whatever. You know, they obviously have their place. But look, still, just, enough. Like, pick up a fucking hammer, man. Pick up a hammer, man.
And that's kind of a conservative idea as well, in some real sense.
Enough self-esteem as others are willing to grant you.
Yeah, it's like, well, imagine, if everybody in the company assumes that you're an average performer, you should probably assume that you're an average performer. You shouldn't be running around feeling good about yourself in excess of that, because your attitude towards yourself should be a reflection of your actual situation in the social environment.
So my pushback on that would be...
Is Andrew Schulz a cokehead? Like, I'm just legit... Not because he's rubbing... But he just gives off that cokehead vibe. Like, the fucking hair plugs and a fucking weird mustache and, like, trying to be cool with the kids. He's like almost 40 years old, and you're dressing like a fucking frat boy. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, man?
If your self-esteem is defined by how the people around you treat you, how can you break out when you're in especially when you're in an industry of narcissists that are really only concerned with how they're doing, what they want. Like, how do you separate yourself?
That's a great question, man. And that's the trick.
There is a reason why narcissists tend to break out, because their self-esteem is not limited by the views of others.
That is true. That is exactly true. Well, in fact, in that regard, so you put your finger on something that's cardinally important, because...
Okay, confession time. I'm a fucking extreme narcissist. Bro, my name is Jake Jones. You think, you know what I'm saying? Dude, the real Jake Jones are nowhere near as cool as I am, okay? That name was given to me by God, and God himself is a narcissist's concept. It just is. People talk about, God gave me this. No, it's like, you did it. Take some credit. Take some credit, right? You fucking did this to yourself, alright? Don't put it on some fucking clown in the sky, alright? This is all you, bro. Don't be delusional. If you're gonna be an egotist, just be honest about it, is what I'm saying.
What I think that the internet can often do, and it's something that, like, I try my hardest to not let it do, is it dulls our sword. What we don't have to communicate outside of the echo chamber, right? We know if we want, we can say the things we believe to the people who also believe them. And now there's no more nuance. One of the great things...
The problem with your argument, Andy, is that those people who are in your echo chamber are also on the internet. The internet, see, everybody's on the internet. Everybody except maybe your great-great-grandma who's Amish is on the fucking internet. Okay? Your grandma is watching Cardi B right now, and she's saying, that's gross. And I agree. But you know what? We both saw it. We both fucking saw it, and none the wiser. None the wiser for it. So, dude, I don't like this fucking shifty argument like, oh man, like, it's almost like a boomer argument, like, oh, the internet is so fucking bad. It's like, bro, dude, quit trying to complicate everything, okay? You got bad social relationships. That's your fault. You have good social relationships. Your fault. Your relationship with the internet and your relationship with the outside world have no correlation whatsoever. They're people here, they're people there. Same fucking shit, different medium. Okay? And yes, I agree, people should spend less time on the internet. People should go out if they're not going out enough. But you know what? I think people get that. I think my generation understands that quite well on the whole. Of course, there are always going to be assholes. There are always going to be autists, fucking emos, and fucking, people like my brother who just stay inside all fucking day or whatever and like a plant. But you know what? Fuck them. Because those people were there way before our parents. They will be there after. And it's only when you create more and more people that you create more and more of a problem. It's a percentage issue. It's a certain percentage. And that percentage, along with the population, increases exponentially. Exponentially. Population growth. Okay? Understand?
Things about getting on stage and doing stand-up comedy show when people don't know I'm going to be there. Right? I've been very fortunate to go and sell out in the biggest theaters in the country, right? This has been awesome. But one of the really cool things about going up to a show where people don't know I'm going to be there is there are people who may disagree with me, hate me, not know me, and also love me all in the same room. And it keeps my tongue sharp. I have to communicate to those people ideas that they might disagree with in a way that's funny.
As bad as Jordan Peterson is, at least he's not being facetious in the slightest. Like, at least his, like, he just doesn't even know what to think. But this fucking retard is just like, he's trying to get laid, I feel like, by Jordan Peterson. I feel like he's trying to, like, suck his dick, kind of. I'm just getting that vibe. Andy Schulz is always just giving me, like, sort of gay vibes. I don't know.
Enough for them to listen and then project laughter.
But he swears he's not Jewish, guys. He's totally not Jewish. I promise.
I fear, and I sometimes fear that, like, you've experienced so much fucking undeserved hate from the left that it's positioned you as with some resentment, which is reasonable. I don't know how you're even still having, like, the common debate.
I don't know how you still live, bro. I don't know how does Jordan Peterson and his multi-million-dollar mansion and his fucking multi-million-dollar Ben Shapiro contract, how does he deal with it? It's like so fucking stressful, man. It's like almost as stressful as me in my fucking plastic studio.
And discourse. Like, if most people in your situation, they would just say, F them, screw them, whatever. But your information is more important to the people who don't agree with you than the ones who already agree. You know what I'm saying? Like, explaining the value of, let's say, God. I'm not someone who was raised with religion, but
Okay, before we get into this, and this will be my last segment, but, like, if JP was the type of guy who literally just gave you the hard dope, the facts, I would have no issue with this argument. The fact is that he's not. Most of his videos are opinion-based fucking rants, just as good as me, only nowhere near as funny. So, I don't need this fucking bullshit lecture.
I believe in the power of it. And so explaining the power of God to someone who is not religious is more important than to the believer. Because if that person can get something from it,
it's not. Religious people are fucking associated with more depression in a lot of studies. Okay? I can pull them up if you want. They have all the same fucking struggles as everybody else. And this is an individual issue. Like, it's not even, there's too many groups to even go about. There's levels to religion. There's hyper extremists like fascist in Islamic and Christian countries. And then there's zero, which is like, oh, just leave me alone and let me suck God's dick all day. And a 5, which is like, okay, there should be some morals in the world. There should be some boundaries. And that's where most people lie, whether they believe in God or not. Okay?
That was part of the potential danger of joining forces with the Daily Wire, because they're obviously a conservative enterprise. And my family.
Yeah, Andy's just like, I don't really have an opinion on God, but, like, you should totally, like, just do you, bro. It's like, this is the most do you, bro fucking bullshit ever.
Family and I thought,
what a fucking fag, man.
Long and hard about that. I mean, first of all, I like working with the Daily Wire. They've been extremely good to work with. They've left me alone.
I love the Jews. I will suck them to complete. I will fucking castrate all my baby boys. Yes.
not only have they left me alone to do whatever it is that I want to do, they've helped
I
me
want to make pornos with my wife of 40 years. Yes. Ben Shapiro will help me get that funded.
That's because Yeonmi Park objects to North Korea. And
Actually, like, the reason that Twitter bans people is like totally decided by Twitter. It's totally decided by Twitter, actually. It's like my reason for quitting a job. My last job, I just wrote principles, and it wasn't good enough. And the only reason I even took the pen and wrote it down was because I had cash on me, and I had to actually exchange cash to get paid. That's how bad it was. And to think that a few months later, I'd be fucking chilling in Europe. Oh, man, what a life. Anyway.
You'd think you'd be able to get away with that, given that it's, after all, North Korea, which is like the worst dictatorship anyone's ever managed to produce, which is really saying something, right? Because there's been some pretty bad dictatorships. And so, and obviously the Daily Wire is a conservative enterprise, and I was worried that that would compromise my ability to communicate with the very people that you were just discussing, especially about the things that I want to talk about. But, also, I would say, I don't exactly know what to make of this. You also find your friends where they're willing to have you. And I get pilloried quite often for not talking to enough people on the land.
That's kind of fucking sad. That's kind of sad. Then they're not your friends. Okay? They're not your friends. You kind of have to cut JP off. As much as I hate doing this to my guests, you kind of have to cut him off before he starts sauntering in some total horse shit.
And a huge part of the reason for that is that most of the time they won't talk to me. I spent years trying to find Democrats who would speak to me, actual politicians who would speak to me on my YouTube channel. And although I have a couple identified now and potentially lined up, for years, the answer to that request was, there's no way we're going on your channel. And so, how the hell can you talk to people if they just say no?
Why should they? Why should they go on their channel? You're going to lobotomize them.
There's other ways to do that as well. You could ambush them at a meeting. The free press is the free press. You got to get creative sometimes. But I get your point. The politicians genuinely do not want conversation with the press. The difference is that skewed press are always going to favor skewed politicians. And this is where average folks and voters particularly have to be careful, because it is dangerous to listen to people on the political spectrum known as influencers with, say, over 5 million subscribers. That's a little fucked up.
I don't think the answer is speaking to politicians. Like, I remember first engaging with your content. And
by the way, the day everybody gets 5 million subscribers, when we're fucking the day that truth tellers get 5 million subscribers, that'll be the day. That'll be the day. It's easier to get $1 million in America than it is to get 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I challenge you to that debate. I guarantee you it is far easier to get $1 million in America than it is to get $1 million or 1 million subscribers on YouTube.